Hello and welcome back to my channel, Craft Time by Casey. I am Casey, and today here are the 4 pairs of earrings and multi-strand bracelet that I will be making. Most of the components came from the May 2023 bargain bead box. And if you're interested in the bargain bead box, I will have all of the information in the description box below, including my code, and that code is Casey2. That's KASI 2. And that code will get you $2 off your first month subscription or $2 off your first order from their website. So if you would like to see how these earrings and this bracelet came about, then stay tuned. Alright, so let's get right into it. I'm going to start with the tools that I will be using. I have 2 sets of chain nose pliers, 1 set of round nose pliers, 1 set of cutters, and 1 set of crimping pliers. And I want to briefly mention my tool set. It is the Casual Comfort tool set, and just like the name suggests, these tools are very comfortable to use. They are very high quality, very well made. And the biggest thing for me is they are made for adult size hands. A lot of times jewelry making tools will be a little bit smaller, and they certainly function, but for me, when I found these tools, I really can't imagine using anything else. The grip is so comfortable. And if you see it from the side as well, they are just quite a bit larger than typical jewelry making tools. So I will have these linked down below, along with everything else I use in the video that did not come from the bead box. I will also be using 49 strand bead along wire in the color Bright, which is this silver color. And I know you can see I have red copper finishing on my metal here, but once everything is put together, you won't even be able to tell that this is silver. I always get the 100 feet just because I go through it so quickly. And real quick, I will link down below the opening video I did for the bargain bead box, and it will have a detailed description of everything that I used that came from the box, like all of the beads, the chain, and everything for the earrings that I'm going to make. It will have that detailed description. From my own stash, I'm going to be using these flower bead caps, all of the findings, and this toggle clasp. So I have cut a piece of the wire, and it's just over 12 inches long. So here's how I start. I'm going to add a crimp tube, a jump ring, and a wire guardian. I'm going to put it through one side, wrap it around, and put it through the other. And I have that jump ring up in that wire guardian, and I'm going to pinch the wire guardian closed with my fingers. And I put both ends of the wire through that crimp tube. And the tail's a little bit too long, so I'm going to pull on the longer side, shorten that up. And I know the parts are a little bit small. You need that wire separated just like that. You don't want it crossed under that crimp tube. I'm going to go in there with my crimping pliers into that second divot. Give it a good smash. Get that taco shape. Turn it on its side. Go into that first divot. Give it another smash. That gets it pretty good, but I'm going to go in with that flat part on the end. Give it that final smash, and it makes it nice and snug. I'm going to hold it on the end, take that crimp cover, place it right on top of that smashed crimp tube, and then flip it up. Go in there with my chain nose pliers, give it a gentle smash, and then go front to back on that crimp cover. Give it that round shape, just like that. And that is how I start each strand. So now it is just the order of the beads. I go in with a bead cap facing up, crackle bead, bead cap facing down, fire polished faceted bead. I'm going to pull all these to the bottom and tuck in that tail just like this. So this will be the very simple pattern for this strand all the way across. So we will meet back up when we repeat this 6 or 7 more times. We'll meet back up. All right, so here we go. Here is the strand. Again, that very simple pattern, but I really like that color spectrum of those smaller beads in the center When you move it, it gives the bracelet just a little bit of color with greens and purples and yellows, and it's just really nice. So now we're going to close it off on this side. Add a crimp tube and a jump ring and a wire guardian. Put it through one side, wrap it around, put it through the other. And I want to make sure I have that jump ring up in that wire guardian and pinch it closed. And I have both ends of the wire through that crimp tube. And now I'm going to put that tail of the wire through that first bead. Just like that. I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna make it nice and snug. So here's where you have that balance, because you want to pull it really snug, but you definitely want your bracelet to have flexibility and movement, so you want to make sure you can move your bracelet at the same time having it pretty snug up here. There's a balance. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and go into that second divot. Give it a good smash. Get that taco shape. Turn it on its side. Go into that first divot. Give it another smash. And then I'm going to go in with that flat part on the end and give it the final smash. Make it nice and snug. Now I'm going to hold it on the end there. Go in with that crimp cover. Place it right on top of that smash crimp tube. Flip it up. Go in with my chain nose pliers. Give it a gentle smash. Now I'm going to go front to back on that crimp cover. Give it a round shape. Very gentle. Just like that. And now I'm going to go as close as I can to that tail. And now I go in with my nail and just kind of push that little nub into the next bead. Just like that. So now here is the strand, and it is started and closed off, very similar. As far as length goes, the beads themselves, I always go for right at 6.5 inches, right at the beads. That way, once I add everything on the end and the clasp, it should end right at about 7.5 with the clasp on the end. That's my goal. And then my second strand in this bracelet is going to be the chain that came in the box. I think this is an absolutely beautiful standout chain, and I'm going to make it its own strand. So right now I have right over 6 inches. And the good thing about this strand is I can add a few links or take a few links away fairly simple. Couldn't really do that to a strand like this that you kind of have to put together. But when it comes to just these links like this, easily change the size as I need to. All right, so here's how I'm going to put it together. I'm going to use the jump ring that's on the end of the strand we just did and connect both of them. All right, so I'll take that jump ring, open it. I'm going to add the last link in the chain and then the end of the toggle clasp, and then close that jump ring just like that. So there we go. And as we can see, it's going to be just a few links short. So I'm going to get a few more links and add it together. All right, so I got 4 more links of this chain. I'll go ahead and connect it to that last one right there. Close it. Let's see if we've got it right. Looks like it might be right. So let's add it and see what it looks like. Take the jump ring on the other end, open it, add the other last link, and the other end of the toggle clasp, and close it. So there we go. Let's see if that might need one less link. We'll see, we'll try it on. So there we go. I think that's gonna be pretty good. Very nice. I like this. I really like the way this came out. It looks nice and neat. Very nice. And I like this chain. It's a pretty awesome standout chain with these larger links to it. Very nice. All right. Now that we have the bracelet, we're moving on to the earrings. For each pair of earrings, I have one of them already made, and we will make the second one together. And for this month's bead box, there were a lot of round elements to it. A lot of connectors in different sizes. So you'll see that the earrings that I created are all about that design, the round elements connected in different ways. So here is the first pair. So the way I set this up, I kind of laid it out on my bead mat. so I would know exactly how I was going to connect it. And I'm going to create each one of these components, and then we will connect it all together. All right, so I'm going to take a flathead pin, and here is the order for the components. I have a 3mm spacer on either end, the flower bead caps surrounding that crackle bead in the center. So here is how I make a loop. I take my round nose pliers, go right above that top bead, bend it just like that, bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters, and then go back in with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to take the end of that loop and curl it back in just like that. So the second one that I'm creating, I'm using an eye pin, and I want my loops to line up, so I'm going to place it up and down like that on my finger, go in with my round nose pliers, bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters. All right, so before I close this one, I'm going to connect it to that top smaller loop, just like that. And we're gonna start putting our earring together. I'm gonna curl that back in with my round nose pliers, just like that. And now we're gonna connect it all the way down. I have these 6mm jump rings, open it, connect the smaller circle to the bigger circle, and this is genuinely that simple. We're gonna do the same thing all the way to that bottom circle. So here we have all of the circles connected. So now for the bottom, we're gonna slightly open that loop, connect it to that last ring, and close it back. So now we're gonna very quickly add that ear wire. So take that ear wire at the bottom, open it, connect it to the component at the top, close it back. Here is the first pair, on to the next one. So here is the next one. I'm using the loop part of the toggle clasp that came in the box, and of course the rough cut nugget quartz beads. Now, most everything that came in the box was different shades of whites and grays, like the storm cloudburst theme. So for this one, I added a little pop of color with that turquoise bicone. So first thing we're gonna do is create the component in the middle. And I was very careful in selecting the two nuggets that I chose to make in these to make sure they fit through the center, because some of the nuggets were quite large and wouldn't fit through the center of these. I have a ball end pin and one of my flower spacer beads. And then I have the nugget with the bicone and a 3mm spacer. I'm gonna go in with my round nose pliers right there at the top. Bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters, go back in with my round nose pliers, and curl that loop shut, just like that. And I'm using the largest of the jump rings that came in the box, open, and for this, I need to connect it around through it like this, through the inside of that loop, because I want it to hang in the center. And for this one, I kind of have to hang it around the back because I want it through that loop at the top, but I also want it hanging down in the center of that loop, just like that. Add my component to the middle and close that jump ring, just like that, so it flows in the middle. Then I can quickly add the ear wire, open it at the top, and then go in the loop at the top, close it right back. Here's the second pair, on to the next one. And here is the next one. All right, for these, the first thing I'm gonna do is make the two components. I have a flathead pin and one of the English cut beads, one of my flower spacers, and then the 3mm spacer. I go in with my round nose pliers just over that top bead, bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters, then curl that closed. just like that. And now I'm going to make another component. All right, so there's the second component, and now we're just going to connect it all together. I'm going to use my smallest 4mm jump ring, open it, and we're going to connect one of the components to one of the smaller rings. And close it. Now a 6mm jump ring, we're going to connect that smaller ring to the larger ring and close it. Now this next 6mm jump ring is going to be a little bit interesting, but not too complicated. I'm going to open it kind of a little bit farther, and then this time we are connecting the larger jump ring, the component, the larger connector ring, the component, and then the smaller ring. And then closing that jump ring. And now we're going to connect that smaller ring at the top to the ear wire. Open it just a little bit. Connect it to that small ring at the top. Then close it back. So here is this pair. On to the last one. And here is the last pair. So once again, we're going to start with these components in the center. And we have a flathead pin, 3mm spacer, and then these disc spacers that came in the box, and then the crackle bead once again. Go just above, bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters, and then go in there and curl that closed with my round nose pliers, just like that. And now I'm going to make a second component. All right, so here are the two components, and now we'll connect everything. So once again, I like to kind of lay it out. That way I have it in the order, and here we go. Take the 6mm jump ring. We're going to connect the small ring to the large ring and close it. Now with this 6mm jump ring, we're connecting the large ring, the component, the other large ring, and close it, just like that. Last 6mm jump ring, open it, connect it to the large ring, component, small ring, close that jump ring, and then very quickly we'll connect the ear wire at the top, open it just a little, and connect it to that small ring right there at the top. Go back in there and close it. So here is the last pair. So I will set everything up on my display so we can see it better. All right, so here they all are. As you can see, when you put them all together like this, there were a lot of round connector components in this month's box. But I do think they look really good all together like this. So we'll get in here just a little bit. And I really like those hammered connectors there. I think they look really nice with those crackle beads. I like that rustic style. And then of course, just the different sizes of those round connectors look really good together as well. On down, very similar styles, just arranged in different ways. And then of course those large toggle clasps, just using those loop components with those nugget beads. I just think they turned out so nice. And then of course that chain that came in the box this month, very large chain. And I think it stands out as a strand for this bracelet very nicely. And then of course with that little bit of color for those 4mm beads in between. So once again, if you are interested in the bargain bead box, I will have all of the information in the description box below, including my code. That code is KASI2. That's KASI2, and that will get you $2 off your first month subscription or $2 off your first order from their website. So if you like this video and you want to see other videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a like. Leave a comment. I absolutely love reading my comments. You guys are so kind, and I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.